About 20 years ago, when I started getting into the medical field, there was a lot of buzz and talk about autism. And, I still can honestly say I don't quite understand what that means. Can you both let us in and what exactly does it mean for a child to be autistic and be on the spectrum? What is that?
It's a developmental disorder, and we characterize it in sort of two domains. One is social communication impairment, which is just as it sounds, difficulty communicating in age-appropriate ways with others, other children, other adults. And then the second domain is rigidity and restricted interests. So rigidity on a day-to-day basis might look like, we have to take the exact same route to school every day, or we reliably will have a big tantrum. That's kind of an example of everyday rigidity. And restricted interests is, again, as it sounds, where, lots of kids, they have a few different things they like. They'll watch a few different movies and have a few different toys that they like to play with. And children with autism often will hone in and be very narrowly focused on one thing, which makes it difficult socially if they only want to talk about, weather patterns. Right.
Or bats.
Right.
Or,
Very specific interests.
So typically there's criteria A and criteria B, and I always think of criteria A, there's something qualitatively unusual about a child's social presence that any practical person, any grandma, any mother, any father, grandpa who has some experience with kids would sort of notice that kid is marching to their own drummer. And so the kinds of things, when we say they have problems with social communication, what we mean is they don't read body language at all. And they often won't make eye contact. Very often are unable to have what we call a reciprocal conversation. So conversation that's like a ping pong where we go back and forth. And so maybe they'll answer your question with one word kind of conversation killer, but they won't ask you a question. So it can be really hard to talk together. They often have these really wildly intense preoccupations, so that if you're willing to talk about what they're interested in, whether it's ants or the weather or Pokemon or whatever it is, they'll talk to you forever. But about anything you're interested in or other interests, no. And furthermore, they're mostly interested in giving a monologue and not so much interested in your perspective.
How early can parents or medical professionals, see this in kids? I mean,
I think it's around 18 months is the first screener that's often done. The last questions like, does your child look at you when you walk into the room? Are they at least babbling and wanting to socially communicate? So there are screeners in pediatricians' offices, and oftentimes that will capture a child who has pretty moderate or even severe autism spectrum disorder. Some other children who have more mild autism, these social impairments might not be apparent until they land into kindergarten. So it really, again, depends on the severity of autism, but your pediatrician will periodically ask screeners for autism.
So, and the severity would reference being where on the spectrum?
Sure, yeah, yep, from mild, moderate, or severe.
Gotcha.
So like more severe would be someone who doesn't ever develop language, or is maybe eating non-food items, or is doing things that are self-injurious. That would be considered more severe. And in terms of that second domain, criteria B, that Sammy was talking about, the rigid, repetitive, stereotype behaviors, there are oftentimes some stereotypical movements, like someone might pace or do like whispering sounds with their fingers or flap. There can be different repetitive motions that are calming for the person. That's often typical, but not necessary. There's the intense preoccupations. There's also rigidity within the routine, which Sammy was getting at. And then the last thing is a lot of sensory processing problems. And so a person with autism might really get upset if snow touches their face, or there's the fire alarm goes off at school, which, as we know, it does. So, for example, someone's IEP can say that the child has to be forewarned and be given a noise canceling headset before the fire alarm.
So say there is early intervention with a child that's diagnosed with autism. Would you recommend that they have professional guidance pretty much through their childhood into adulthood so that they can,
Yes.
okay, yeah. I mean, you're going to want to have a mental health professional all the way through into adulthood. Is that right?
Absolutely. And the school district will oversee a lot of that, and especially, helping to bridge that, between preschool and elementary, and then throughout the kind of K through 12 experience. And then there's also programs, for children up to, or young adults up to age 23, where the school district will support them and help them launch into adulthood, often with community-based supports in place.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys both for being here.
Absolutely.
This was a tremendous wealth of information. I hope, I'm sure our viewers are going to have to watch a few times to digest all the awesome information. Now, are you taking new clients? I think you said you're taking new, I mean, if people want more information on some of the topics that we covered, can they contact you guys?
Absolutely.
Or your practice?
Yeah, we're growing. We're hiring more psychologists, and yeah, absolutely. Our website is the best place to go to learn more about all of our clinicians and the services that we offer.
Great. I will provide that information to the viewers, definitely, in the link for the website.
We very often get phone calls from not just parents, but from pediatricians or other healthcare professionals who aren't sure what to do with someone. Where do they need to go next? And we're happy to field those questions and help to sort out whether we're the right place or where in the community is the right place. And because we've been doing teletherapy since 2018. We started way before the pandemic. We have people all over the state. And so what we've gotten quite good at is activating supports that will work in any community. Because, Anchorage is not Seattle, but Togiak is in Anchorage. So we can scale according to the availability of the community.
Dr. Sammy Mack, thank you so much for being here. Dr. Cathy Von Hippel, thank you so much for being here. And maybe we'll do it again.
Marty.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks.
Good to talk with you.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
guys.
Take care.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.